So if you clicked on this video, you're probably tired of having baby calves. But no worries, I too was a part of the itty bitty calf committee. And hopefully with some of the things we go through, we can get you out of that committee as well. Good day, beautiful people. My name is Hafid James, IFBB Pro, and in this video, we're going to talk about some of the things you're probably doing that's stopping you from growing your calves. There'll be a few different points to cover. We'll talk about frequency, exercise, selection, etc. But the first thing I want to go through, which is probably the most important thing, is how you're defining an intense workout. Usually whenever I see someone trying to do their calves, they just think, well, it's got to be heavy. That's the only way people know how to define an intense workout. It's just how much weight am I pushing? But your range of motion is off, your tempo is off. So try dropping the ego, taking off some of the weight to something you can control, and focus on other parameters that can make an intense workout. One, being the range of motion. When working your calves, you're trying to put your calves in as much dorsiflexion and plantarflexion as possible. So the best cues I like to give is if you're on the machine, you're trying to think of pushing your heels down till you feel the stretch in your calf. You might even feel a slight contraction in your shin, and this should be a fully stretched calf. And then when you're driving up, don't just think up, but actually think about driving your ankles forward as much as you can. You're going to notice you're going to get a much better contraction by thinking ankles forward versus just pushing up. And I would always recommend doing this is your warm-up so you know what your range of motion is. And then I don't care how much weight you put on, stay within that range of motion. Know that you're going all the way down, all the way up. And I also say really focus on that lengthening position. Really make sure you feel that stretched, that calf stretched. And record yourself. I say this all the time. I don't care if you're training by yourself, with a partner, with a trainer. Record yourself so you see what you're doing. In your mind, you might think you're going full range of motion until you look back at the tape and you're just bouncing up and down, which goes to our next point, tempo. Don't bounce up and down. You want to feel slow on the eccentric, that you coming down, resisting gravity, so you know the muscles resisting gravity and it's not just weight pushing you down. And then you want a controlled contraction, then power up to squeeze the muscle. Certain number cues you can think about. Think about coming 3 seconds down. I would always recommend doing a slight pause so you know you feel the stretch. And then driving up should take you 1 second to drive up, contract the muscle, and then go right back into that 3 second eccentric stretch. Tempo is going to be really important because you want to know your muscles is doing the work. You're in control of what you're doing. So yes, weight is a factor, but know you're going through your full range, especially prioritizing that lengthened position. Know that you're not bouncing up and down, but the tempo, you're able to control it on the eccentric and concentric portions of the movement, and then put on the weight. There's some people that get into like toe positions or toe in, toe out. Honestly, you might get to a point where that matters, but if you're watching this video, that shouldn't matter to you. Have the balls of your heels on the machine so you know your foot's balanced, heel down, ankle forward. The other thing you would also want to look at is exercise selection. Not every calf machine is the same. When you're thinking of your calf muscles, you're thinking of your soleus and your gastro. Soleus is more of the side part of your calf. Your gastro is that big meaty part. But you also have to remember your muscles aren't just muscles, they're attached to joints, and the way those joints are in place can affect the workout. So when you're doing a seated calf raises, you're hitting more of those soleus, which is again very important. I'm not saying neglect it entirely, but if you're trying to grow your calves, you want those gastro. That's the volume, that's the biggest part of your calf. So that's the part you really want to focus on. I think the best way to do that is being in a standing position. So any calf raise machine or any calf raise exercise where you can be standing and you're not, your knees aren't bent, and you can actually get the muscle that runs right up through the calf behind the knee joint. that's going to be the workout I would say to prioritize. So if you're doing it more than once a week, which we'll get into shortly, I would say make sure the bulk of your calf exercises, you're able to be in a standing position. So you're able to hit that gastro much more effectively because, again, that's the meatier part of the calf if that's what you're trying to grow. The other thing you would want to look into is then just the frequency. Now, I'm generally a low volume guy, but calves, you're on your feet all day. They're meant to be strong, they're meant to handle a lot. So I think calves is one of those things you can definitely hit twice a week. Some people can hit it more. I say it always just comes down to your recovery. Like, don't think you're going to do calves every day because then you're just going to rip the muscle. Then you won't be able to do calves for weeks. But if you know you can hit calves Monday and they're fully recovered Friday, then hit them again Friday, and then you can always switch it up. You might want to do 1 day standing, 1 day seated. You might want to do 1 day high volume where you're trying to get 20, 30 reps, another day lower volume, or just sticking to those 10 reps. Switch it up, get the benefits of both worlds, but just I would say definitely I think calves you can hit more than once a week, but please base it on your recovery. I've seen too often with just body parts in general where people think, well, I'm just going to do arms every day, and then they end up hurting themselves or not getting your results. Your results come from your recovery. Train intense, stimulate the growth, and then during that recovery process is where your muscle actually grows based on the stimulus you gave it. If you never give it proper time to recover, at worst, you can injure yourself, or at least you're not going to get the results because it never had time to recover, to adapt to the loads you kept giving it. The last point, bonus round, time. Like, too many people think, yeah, if I do it for 4 weeks, I should have massive calves. It takes time to grow muscle. It's just about being consistent. One of the most boring things is being a bodybuilder because we're just doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again for a long duration. But because we are consistent in that long duration, that's where you see the results. So just because you don't see results in 3 months, if you know you're progressively getting stronger and you're doing everything you should be doing inside and outside of the gym, just give your body time. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. And hopefully your calves will be a little bigger by then too.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. And check out some of the other videos on the page. And until next time, be happy, be healthy.